popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch
Classics. Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. Listen to shows and read reviews online at wcbe.org.
Good. I'm John DeSando,
And I'm G Kline.
and this is Cinema Classics. God, I got that right. Now here we are to bring the word to the masses.
Here we are with the big one. And one thing I should be sure of with our WCBE audience is our audience is fans of Miyazaki. Just the name alone there's a reverence to it. I mean, this is possibly the greatest living director today. Not since the passing of Stanley Kubrick has there been a director who has been so admired and so influential in cinema.
And we're talking the king of anime.
The king of anime, and even I hesitate to use the word anime with him because he really is a genre unto himself. Comparing him to anime is like comparing 2001 to Flash Gordon.
However, for our audience, we can call it anime and they'll know what we're talking
They
about.
certainly will. And if we say Miyazaki, I suspect they're going to know what we're talking
All
about.
right, so we're talking about a very simple title.
A brand new film by Miyazaki, our first one in 10 years, The Boy and the Heron.
Right. So how much simpler can it be? You have a boy, you have a heron.
Oh.
I guess not.
No. This is one of Miyazaki's most challenging works.
Yeah.
For audiences who are thinking they're going to go in and see another Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle.
Right.
Oh,
right.
no, that is not this movie. This is a deeply personal film by Miyazaki, and it's almost semi-autobiographical. So let's step back and talk a little bit about what the movie story is.
Well, Ken, I think I have a clue. Something that will help somebody like me, who doesn't know Miyazaki as well as you do, and goes in expecting that to be a sweet little allegory, and it's not, would say a key to unlocking some of the, and you kind of already hinted at it being semi-autobiographical. Let's just say the key here is that he has retired for 7 times already, and this is the 8th time that this director has retired. So much of what he's doing in this film is about himself, his art, and his mortality.
Reflections upon his life, reflections upon his youth, and then also how you view those things from the point of view of an 85-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a much more challenging and I think much more confusing to me film in a lot of ways than any of his previous films.
It looks easy. The boy has lost his mother in a fire.
The boy is 11 years old and he sees his mother die in the Tokyo firestorm of 1944. And it's important to know this film opens during World War II. His mother perishes
At the tail end.
At the tail end of World
Yeah.
War II. His mother perishes in the Tokyo firestorm. The father relocates, and many of Miyazaki's movies start with a journey, and this one does. After the passing of his mother, his father relocates to the countryside, just like in My Neighbor Totoro, or just like in Spirited Away. But here, it's a much more troubled thing.
And now, and the complicated nature of the dad is, he's a munitions manufacturer.
He's
for
manufacturing
airplanes.
Japanese fighter planes.
And he marries his sister-in-law.
He marries his
Which
sister-in-law.
may not be in an Asian culture that as shocking as it would be for us.
Mhm. And she looks very much like
Confusingly.
her sister, the boy's mother.
Boy, you got that.
And this sets up a very, very troubling time for the boy. Now the whole period here, where we're at the new house, at the factory, the boy is going to a new school, and this is what is Miyazaki's reflecting upon his own life. He of course was born during World War II. The imprint of World War II is very much upon him. He's dealt with World War II before, Grave of the Fireflies, and that is probably the film of his that is most similar to The Boy and the Heron. But the first hour is slow. There's no getting around that. The magic of the film, the fantasy elements of the film, don't really start until an hour into the movie.
Right, and I don't think you get his meta view of his life and his art until that second part.
I would agree with that. I think the first hour could have been trimmed down to about 20 minutes. We could have gotten into the fantasy much more quickly. I think it was upon Miyazaki to want to show this element of his life and his reflections upon it. Now, the Japanese title for this movie is How Do You Live? And that is based on the book. It's not adapted from the book, but there was a book that was very important to Miyazaki called How Do You Live? And here he's exploring how does this 12-year-old boy live following the death of his mother during wartime and with a brand new stepmother, and all of this happening to him and trying to adjust.
Yeah, and in other words, it works for him personally, and it works for the population in general, the humanity in general. How with these wars, with this corruption, with a heron who actually turns out to be some kind of an ogre.
The heron shows up and begins talking to him, thinking that the heron is trying to take him to his mother,
He's a trickster.
He's a trickster.
And it's so good because where you see where this 80-year-old artist is and question everything he's done and everything the world has done. And the title that you bring up so well, the original How Do We Live is so appropriate. And how does an 85-year-old man come to terms with how he's lived, how he's depicted? No, this is the task for a genius.
It's no easy task for him. I think it was no easy task, of course, for the people living in Japan post-World War II.
Yeah.
And he just brings us into this. There was another film that just came out a week ago called Godzilla -1. And these two films would make a great double feature because they both deal with the collective post-traumatic experiences of Japanese citizens as a whole in the years immediately following World War II.
I may have to go see that. Keith and Lulu loved it.
It is absolutely wonderful. You shouldn't even treat it as a Godzilla movie.
Yes.
It's much more impressive as a Japan post-World War II film that happens to have Godzilla.
Yeah.
But this film, so we're an hour in, and the heron has led the boy to a magical tower that is a portal. And as he enters, he's taken into what to me resembles an Oedipus story. He's going to the Greek underworld to find his mother.
And don't you think that tower serves so well as the edifice he's built in his life, his art, and it goes right up to the top?
Well, I was pretty confused at this point, so I'm grasping for straws. I'll take that and run with it.
Because when that doesn't work out well, it's a great metaphor for how disappointed he is in the life that he's trying to come to terms with. This guy's a freaking genius.
He is
questioning himself.
He is questioning. He's exploring the ideas of the relationships with his mother, the relationships with his father.
Yes.
And the magical fantasies that he himself surrounded himself with. Miyazaki believes that fantasy is an integral part of one's life. And your fantasy life, your dreams, the things that you imagine are just as important as the real life experiences that you have. And this is what the second half of the film really delves into.
And we're going to do that in our podcast, our Double Take podcast. Can you believe that? Yes, we're forcing our audience to go to the WCBE podcast experience, Double Take, to hear the rest.
So if there's one thing I want the audience to take away from this is, first of all, if you've never seen a Miyazaki movie before, this is not the one to start with.
Good point.
Start with Kiki's Delivery Service, start with Howl's Moving Castle, or Spirited Away, and work your way up to this film, because this is not a good way to introduce yourself to Miyazaki. Second thing is, if don't expect this to be a good film for 8 to 10-year-olds, just like Kotaro.
No, right.
I would not take anybody under 12 to this movie, and I would even say 14 and up.
And I think some counseling after they've heard our really 10 minutes
So,
here.
yeah, not a film for young children. This is one more for the adults.
I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn.